Wholeness, welcome. This is Josh, Integrating Presence, Inner Skilled, and welcome to today's Open Wisdom Wednesday. For those not ever joining one of these events, this is an irregular wisdom office hours. I ask unplanned and general and specific questions for your wisdom, and you can ask me. In the meantime, we share openly, likely from what's currently happening in our lives, to get at our wisdom. So, since how I usually do this now is if there's nothing right away or nothing beforehand, what I do is I just ask the question, well, what should I talk about today? And usually I'll get a couple topics or at least one, and then I don't really plan anything. Things will come in, but I don't like script this or have any things prepared. So, welcome everyone that's here. And today I thought I'd talk about hospitality. Start there anyway. So me and my fiance are at a friend's house, and it's in a neighborhood in St. Louis. And for those watching on video, it's raining here. I'll just show you where I'd like to be in their amazing little garden here. It's kind of a beautiful, kind of almost fairy playground almost out there. If you've seen some of my stuff before, David Holtz, he makes these wonderful creations and lots of nature. But anyway, what does hospitality mean to you? My friend grew up in the South, so there is something about Southern hospitality in the States. I think there is really something to it. Of course, like cliche and stereotypes things. But what is it? What does that really mean to you? For me, it means like being welcomed, right? Being care demonstrated in physicality. So it is a type of love because love demonstrates, right? So it's a way that people show their care by their actions, not just their words. Yes, words are great. They can guide us into, you know, skillful, wholesome ways of being, helpful ways of being, and these beautiful expressions of love. But to have someone be hospitable and to welcome you into their home and to, I guess, take care of you, to offer, how should I put this? We all know this, right? We've all hopefully have had someone show us hospitality. Now, there's the other end of this where receiving hospitality, right? So I thought about taking this to a little extreme for an example. Imagine yourself in like this most palatial swank palace, absolutely sparing no expense of what, worldly pleasures and things are available to us. Just imagine yourself in that situation. And I think we have kind of two extremes on that spectrum. You have one that I'm not worthy of this, you know, and that may be immediately apparent, or it may manifest maybe as things like, oh, this is excessive. Why can't this money be used for something better? This is ridiculous. It's over the top. All the way to the other extreme where, oh, this is it. I this is right. I mean, I deserve this. Any little detail is like, that's wrong. I'm kind of like a dictator. It has to be even better than it is. Nothing's ever good enough, or how dare they, put this thing out of place. And this kind of entitlement and tyrannical type, where on the other extreme, it's kind of like little me inferiority. I can't enjoy this. I'm not worthy of this. So that's on the receiving end, but most of us obviously are in the middle. So how are we receiving? Do we freely receive? Are we worried about, oh, I need to give something in return, or what's their motivation for doing this? Are we suspicious, or can we just open and allow and relax into it and allow to be trustworthy and nourished? And on the other hand, we can be present and give our attention and our camaraderie, friendship, kindness, appreciation. Appreciation is huge when it comes to hospitality, I feel. Appreciation. And it goes into gratitude too, right? And AJ says, open heart on top of an open door. Wow, I love that. That's beautiful expression. I've never heard that before. AJ, I hope I can use that. So yes, openness, open-heartedness, you know, and so many of us have kind of been armored and kind of closed down our heart. And it's understandable because of the things we've gone through, right? But to really open our heart and to show kind of vulnerability and allowing and giving, it's really is a beautiful thing. And I think it can be a practice. It can also just come naturally for a lot of people too, though. Open door. Yeah, I like that notion of an open door. How available are we? Are we overly available though? Are we not giving ourselves enough time? Are we not giving the things in our life that are important for our well-being and that of others enough time because we're inundated by too many distractions and people too? So, where are the boundaries? Where's the balance? Are we never letting anybody in our door, sealing ourselves off from everything all the time? So, does anybody else have like questions or want to share any feelings, thoughts, experiences with hospitality? How can we be more hospitable to ourselves and others? I mean, it's really easier, I feel, to do that with those we are really close to. But, where does hospitality come into in our everyday lives with strangers and stuff? Is there a place for that? Maybe it's just as simple as a smile to someone, or maybe it's as simple as letting someone merge into traffic easier in front of us. Maybe wanting to say something that we know we shouldn't, and then actually refraining and not saying it to someone. Or the opposite of like, oh, I don't feel like I have the time, or maybe they won't receive it right, so I'm not going to say this wonderful, nice thing about this person and bring a little bit of joy and acknowledgement into their lives. But maybe I'm too shy, or maybe I feel that it's not worth my time or effort. Hmm. And I think I really take hospitality for granted, obviously, when I'm not using it. If I'm kind of in my own space, then I'm in not letting anyone in, then I'm not really noticing hospitality and the acts of hospitality that go on and openness that go on around me and that are possible. So, one nice thing about traveling is that there's a whole industry around this, right? And we all know there's varying degrees. And yes, it has become commodified for, you know, pros and cons of that. Of course, the pros of commodifying hospitality are people can make a living, they can pay the bills that way. People are really good at it and then can provide for others and then have some kind of financial or other types of reward to be able to support themselves and those they love. I guess the downsides of over commodification of things like this would be that there's more of an impersonal nature. People are more distant from each other. It's a more of a transactional nature and not as maybe human, if that's the right way to put it, that everything has to be commodified and traded on a market and you know exchange for equal amount or I'm not getting enough, or I'm wow, I got all this. So there's pros and cons, and I think there's a time and place for both of these perspectives and a balance again with that. I guess I'm curious in what makes you want to be more hospitable and less hospitable. What makes you want to open your heart and your door to your friends more often, your family more often, and what makes you want to close the doors, close your heart to your friends and family more often. And those who are in the commercial business of hospitality, what makes it worthwhile, your profession, and what makes it really a grind, So these I don't know as much because I'm not a place where I can really open my doors to do this right now. So I don't really have much insight on this. I know the kind of the obvious things that come to mind are, when I'm feeling really loving, giving, and generous, and especially when I connect on a deeper level with those I love and care for, and in good times, and then, you know, I, then it's more likely, obviously, right? I know some of us tend towards control, and if I can control the situation more, then I'm more likely to do it. But if there's just too much either disarray or disorganization, or too many things could possibly go wrong, or I have too much going on, then it might not seem like it's worth the trouble. I think this might also go into things like the ideas we have about the situation and how vastly different they can be from actuality, right? We have this whole thing envisioned or planned in our mind about how events are going to go. And I mean, sometimes they kind of go like that, but oftentimes something significantly different happens from the way we think it should go. And this ties into expectations too. You know, I said before, expectations, at least for me, seem to be a setup for disaster, because then when they're not met, then kind of get distraught or upset. But even if they do get met, then it's just kind of on to the next expectation, because if we really get exactly what we expect, is that going to do it for us? Is that just going to provide us the everlasting happiness that we've been searching for our lives? No, it's satisfying maybe for a short period of time, and then we're expecting other things and expecting other things. So what's the alternative to this? Of course, we don't want to not have any boundaries or no plans in life, or just absolutely live by the seat of our pants all the time. I mean, some people do that, and there are varying degrees of success, but there's the other extreme where everything has to be planned down to the detail all the time. But my experience is that we can't control all the external conditions, at least in the long run. And so when we set our happiness on being able to get all the external conditions just right and maintain them to our liking all the time, the matter of the fact is we won't be able to do that. We can't control all the external conditions all the time. So when we falsely think that we should be able to, and then when something comes along that disrupts that, then we'll be in disarray, and then kind of we're become unsatisfied, dissatisfied in a stressful situation. So the solution is, yeah, of course, going within. What is always dependable? What can be there no matter what the external conditions are, and that's where training our heart and mind comes into play. That no matter what the external conditions, we have a choice on how we see them and how we respond to them. We have a choice of what we pay attention to and how we pay attention to. And the more we can train the heart and mind to see, that's where this seeming sense of agency happens, no matter what happens to us in the external world, that we can train the heart and mind to what we pay attention to, how we pay attention to it, and how we see things. What's the most proper view, the best optimal view to see something, and then how do we respond to it, including not responding to it. Thank you, Tara, for the confirmation there. So I think we'll start wrapping this up. These are usually only quick check-ins planned for 15 minutes, but y'all feel free to reach out and chime in if any topic or anything you're interested in. Some of these things spur of the moment are great too. It doesn't have to stick to a topic. So I appreciate you all for joining in and listening, if you're viewing too, and may you all find your most optimal hospitality, and for those you love, maybe beyond those you love and care for, and especially within your own heart. May all beings come to know the true heart's release, realize awakening, and be free.